Thanks, Chairman. First of all, I want to welcome the witnesses. A few quick questions. The first thing I'll say to you guys is you won't have too many people telling you that you're wrong in here, but that's not going to solve anything. There's a simple solution at the moment that we have a problem over 30 hectares. Under 30 hectares doesn't need planning, over 30 hectares does. I want to know, you spoke there about your solicitors. I want to know what proposal you're pushing forward, because as has been said by the previous speaker there, the working group isn't going to have a conclusion to the end of May. Now, if you've good weather from the 17th of March on, or the first week of April, like we had last year, you'll be milling peat for, that's the time you do it, when the weather is good, not when it's raining. So this isn't going to have a decision made until the end of May, which is a disaster to start with. Second of all, I've heard several speakers on about Ireland doing this and Ireland do that. There's a green agenda being driven at the moment, and unless Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael TD stand up to it, and this has been straight out, and us, independents, and Sinn Féin, unless we stand against this, you'll be still going round to committee meetings and talking for the rest of your lives and nothing solved. So what I am asking you is, at the moment there's a High Court case pending, where 3 huggers have brought Pordenamona to court in relation to peat over the 30 hectares. There's a Habitats Directive where you need an EIA, appropriate assessment, and all the ding-dongs that's with it, that has been signed in by our now President. I want to know, what are ye proposing to resolve this issue, because European legislation over 30 hectares is catching every one of ye. That's the bottom line. Whether we lift ye in the air or tell you they're the greatest thing since the slice ban, there's European legislation that has been taken in by Ireland that is your problem. Nothing else. And that's what it is. What are ye saying that we need to do to be compliant with the Habitats Directive? Because by Jesus, I know more about the Habitats Directive than anyone in this place. And you have to resolve that issue. And being straight and blunt to you guys, legislation was done for you, in fairness to the previous minister, and it was rattled out of court where they didn't even put up a fight to it, where environmental lobby group brought it to court and took it on and kicked it out. That court ruling is there. So what I am saying is, what legislation or what way do ye tell me that your solicitors have said that the EIA's appropriate assessment, screening out, all of that can be resolved to get ye through the hoop that you're in over 30 hectares, because we'll be up in court again. Second of all, I want to know the increase in price of, be it plants or vegetables or whatever, with what would the increase in price be by importing this? It's madness, we all know that. And the third thing I'm going to say to you, my understanding at the moment is that the Department of Environment are willing to try and bring in legislation, but we have a Minister in Climate Action. I'm saying this straight out because there's no point, a lot knows it and not too many will say it. The Minister in Climate Action says he's going to block it. So how do we get over that? I believe we need our Taoiseach and our Taoiseach to get involved in this, because as you have said, it's 1.5%. That's what it is in the country. Let's do a plan, and there's nobody against down the road if we have the alternative, and if we have something that's able to be as competitive, keep jobs in Ireland, and grow the plants as good after the technical stuff that you brought there, fine, we'll go down that road. But you cannot just turn off the light switch and go around the room in the dark. And that's what we're doing at the moment. We're turning off the light switch. And Pordenamona are out of the game. I've spoken to them on several occasions. Tom Donnan is actually doesn't even nearly want to know about turf at the moment, or about peat. And the other side about it is, guys, I saw in 2010, I was in this committee, not as a TD, giving evidence because of turf cutters. We had to go out and take on and cut our turf, to be honest about it, to get justice for ourselves. And it's a sad thing that ordinary people had to do that. But I want to know what legal avenue that you know can be, or what way can the legislation be written that will comply with the Habitats Directive, Article 6.1, 6.2, 6.3 and 6.4. Okay?
Okay, Deputy Fitzmaurice. Who wants to take that from the witnesses?
Yeah, I will take that, John Neenan. The current legal situation is that you have to apply for leave to apply for substitute consent. And I'll just give them the background. And if and when you get that, then you have to apply for substitute consent. And then if you get that, you have to apply for planning permission. So our view is that that will take between 4 and 5 years. And that's why we're saying the industry will be closed by then. Our legal advisors have said that under European and Irish law, the Minister for Housing Planning can exempt peat from the planning process. And that will just allow us then to go to the EPA for a licence. The EPA acts will have to be beefed up to take in the points that were raised in the court judgment. And so it will have to prohibit the EPA from granting a licence unless there are exceptional circumstances. It will require the EPA to consider whether to direct temporary cessation of activity pending a decision on the application for a licence. Require the EPA to consider the historic and future effects of the activity before granting a licence, and require the holder of an existing IPC licence, which was granted before the EPA, had the power to complete an environmental assessment. Now, that's what's particularly in relation to Borden and Mona, but that's not relevant now. So those proposals, if they were implemented, would remove uncertainty and the risk of industry closure while safeguarding all the jobs, and we'd be responsibly harvesting peat under the control of the EPA. So
John, can I just come in 1 second?
We've already given that on a number of occasions on that.
John, can I just come in 1 second?
Yeah.
I'll be just straight here on this. Are you including an EIA to comply with the Habitats Directive? Are you including screening out where you're 15 kilometres away from
yes,
a designated site? And how confident are ye? I wouldn't be confident as a turf cutter myself. I wouldn't be confident with the EPA, because I'll tell you one thing, with some of the stuff I see them coming out with, I'd be afraid of my life to give it to them, being straight with you.
Yes, obviously there's a real air of nervousness about that and on the outcome, but we feel that the law has to be complied with at the way it is at the moment. That it's impossible. So we feel that this is the only legal avenue open that can get harvesting in 2021, have sufficient supplies for all the industries that we're talking about here today. So,
okay.
And as you say, it's going to be very difficult to do it. Otherwise, we are looking at the closure of imports from September on. Okay. If the Irish horticultural industry, the mushroom industry, is to survive. Okay. And just one other question there. You asked about the increase in the cost of material. I know, for example, in Coir at the moment, that the transport cost has already gone up by 300%, and the cost of the material itself delivered now is over 50% higher than it was this time last year, if you can get it, because that's one of the problems with alternatives, the reliability of supply. And in Sri Lanka and India last autumn, there was factories were closed over COVID. Then they had the longest monsoon season for years, so harvesting was not able to take place. So there's a massive shortage of coir at this moment in time. You're probably sometime the end of March or April before you can get it. So it's people.
Okay, John. Thank you.